I've actually never played through this game, and you hear nothing but good things about it. Yo, yeah. Check it. The fuck is this? Hold on. Hold on.
Pressure. We need to make sure that the Artemis program is funded
ow.
fully. We need to beat
hell?
China to the moon and maintain our presence in low Earth orbit. So NASA would need more money to do this, but I think tailored instruments that would look at UAP in the same way that we have tailored instruments to look at astronomical data is important to gathering valuable and uniform information. If we were studying
category
black
is holy?
holes by using fighter cockpit cameras, we probably wouldn't know that much about black holes.
100%. Well, I think it's important that federal leaders take the necessary steps to ensure that UAP does not pose threats to the American public as well, and that we have the necessary budgets to collect this data so we can actually see what's going on. And I'm fully supportive of funding the Artemis mission. I think it's very important.
Yes.
Also, a personal note,
Yes.
the pilot is a frat brother of mine.
Yes.
He is a member of the Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and so I would love to see my fraternity make it to the moon.
Well, Redwire is building the cameras for Artemis, so we will take some pictures of your frat brother and get them.
There we go. Thank you so much. I yield back.
Thank you. I will now recognize Ms. Luna for 5 minutes of questioning.
Mr. Elizondo, to your knowledge, can you name the country and around time frame that the first back-engineered UAP program started?
Ma'am, unfortunately, I would not be able to have that conversation in public.
Can anyone on the panel name that? None of you? Okay.
We're not allowed.
This next
Not yet.
question is for Mr. Gallaudet. To your knowledge, have any USOs ever outpaced our submarines?
Yes, ma'am.
At what
USO.
magnitude?
I don't have the exact speed, but again, a witness came to me, a credible former submarine officer who observed it on.
This is live right now, yes.
Sonar data.
No,
And,
November
this was
15th.
in the 80s in the North Atlantic during a storm, and it outpaced his submarine by orders of magnitude.
Are you aware of any hotspots that currently exist off our shores in North America?
Oh, yeah.
Not with sufficiently credible data, ma'am.
Okay, we've heard reports of there
These guys are
potentially
lying.
being hotspots, maybe
Need
entry
to
and exit
message
points.
somebody.
Have you heard of any of that?
I have it not, ma'am, but my colleague
Thought we were
here,
going
Mr.
public with some of this
Elizondo, does
stuff today.
discuss some USO activity that he's observed in certain DoD
USO,
data
UAP, yeah.
Mr. Elizondo, in regards to these aircraft being piloted by whatever they might be, non-human biologics, would you agree that it's likely that they are being piloted by some mind-body connection?
Mind body.
Ma'am, I think it is safe to presume here that they are being intelligently controlled because some cases seem to anticipate our maneuvers, and in other cases they seem to, I came across an email where the word stalked was used in a very secure email between Navy officers discussing their ships being pursued by a UAP.
In our previous panel, we had Grush, and he
Eye
had
contact.
testified to say that some of these were interdimensional beings. Can you speak on that at all?
Ma'am, I'm not qualified, certainly as a scientist or otherwise, to speculate points of origin. I looked at everything from a scientific perspective. So if you look at, for example, instantaneous acceleration, which was one of the observables of the program that I belong to, ATIP, the human body can withstand about 9 G-forces for a short period of time before you suffer negative biological consequences, blackouts and ultimately redouts and even death. Comparison, our best technology, the F-16, which is it's an older platform, but one of our most highly maneuverable aircraft, manned aircraft, made by General Dynamics, can perform about 17 or 18 G-forces before you start having structural failure, meaning that the airframe begins to disintegrate while you're flying. The vehicles
like that.
we're talking about are performing
You probably can't wiggle that much. You're just
in excess
there.
of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 Gs.
So are you, I guess, would it be safe to infer that they're living craft?
You know, I'm not prepared at this point to state for the record is something alive or not, because even that definition is hard. There was a time in science we thought that life required oxygen, and we now know that's not true. There are anaerobic bacteria that thrive in oxygen environments that lack oxygen. And so also same with photosynthesis. When I was in college, I was told everything is derived from photosynthesis as a form of energy. In reality, that's not true. There are things that live off of chemosynthesis. So we're constantly having to reevaluate our understanding of what the definition of life is.
Do any of you ever come across reports from people that claim to have firsthand experiences with these entities, whatever they might be, or these aircraft, and then as a result, whether or not they're religious, find
She's
that
a
these
Montana
things will
3 at
automatically
best.
disappear? Anyone, and this is open to any of you on the panel. So just real quick, because I'm running out of time. Lou?
Ma'am, I've always been a nuts and bolts kind of guy. When I was at ATIP, I was focusing more on the performance characteristics and less on the potential occupants.
Okay, the reason I ask is because it seems like, just based on our conversations, that we've had people that say that there are good and bad of whatever
Which
these
actor
things are.
does this guy look like?
And so my concern from a national security perspective is A, that true? B, are you guys hearing the reports of that? And C, I think moving forward in regards to technology, Mr. Gold, if you can answer this real quickly, some of these aircraft, it seems that they are operating off of energy that we don't currently have. But just yes or no, in your opinion, if we were able to obtain that, would that impact humanity for the better or negative?
Would certainly save us some money on funding on Artemis. This is a national security issue, that if there is such technology out there, we're not the only country that might have access to it. We don't want to be on the wrong end of technological surprise.
Okay, thank you guys for your time.
All right, thank you. I will now recognize Mr. Garcia for 5 minutes.
Thank you, and I apologize for stepping out. My governor is here upstairs, so I'm trying to get in between meetings, so apologize for that. I want to just start by just asking everyone on the panel or witnesses, and I had a chance to read all the testimony before, but just to set the agenda, just if we can go down real briefly, do you believe, just for the record, that the federal government, any part of the federal
Pentagon's
government,
UFO
is
report
knowingly
finds
concealing
21
evidence
cases.
about UAPs from the public?
I just feel like
Yes, sir.
100%.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I also want to just go
It's
down
more
the
than
line. I know many of you have already said this, but I just, for the record again, just briefly, what do you believe UAPs could be or are?
Strong evidence that they are non-human, higher intelligence.
I echo my colleague's comment, sir.
there you go.
Genuinely do not know.
Don't know, but we must find out.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate those answers, gentlemen. I think this is obviously another remarkable hearing with
We
this
must
really
find,
important
like-
information, so I thank all of you for
Sure,
answering
like,
the questions.
yeah.
Admiral,
really?
I just want to go back to one thing. Now, last year, our subcommittee heard from 2 retired Navy pilots, Lieutenant Ryan Graves and Commander David Fravor.
I wonder what our body
regarding
thinks
UAPs. Actually, I think Ryan is
whenever
here in
we
the
take, like,
audience, and
vitamins
a great,
or, like,
person to get to know and to have conversations
when a
with.
virus comes in, and
He, of
it's obviously
course,
not
has
from
been
our
involved with the
body.
Airspace for
But
Americans
if there was
Act,
like a hierarchy,
with Chairman
civilization,
Graves, with Chairwoman Mace,
left
for
side
UAP
is at war
reporting
with
by
my right
civilian
side.
aviation personnel. Can you discuss briefly why
every
it's
once in a
important
while,
for civilian pilots to be
goat
able to
weed
report
comes in there,
UAPs
and
why
it's
these
like,
legal protections
what the
are
fuck?
critical for our national security?
Yes, Congressman, thank you. And I did invite Ryan Graves as my guest, as I'm on his advisory board for the Americans for Safe Aerospace, and the legislation that you supported and introduced, I fully support as well. And I think it's important that more civilian pilots, commercial pilots, report so we can better understand and learn and do research on UAP, as well as remove the stigma so more citizens report on what they observe. And also, it'll only contribute to aviation safety when we have a better understanding of where these UAPs
I just swallowed
are,
my
how
Jolly
they
Rancher
operate,
whole. And
at
then
what
I successfully
frequency and what
hot-tooted it out.
capability level. So it's important for aviation safety, and it'll be important for
just
moving
shot out,
science
actually.
and research forward.
Thank you, sir. And I just want to reiterate to my
I
colleagues,
need a new
this
one.
is a very bipartisan piece of legislation, and we just got to
Sorry.
continue to get this through the Congress, and it's incredibly important that civilian pilots have the opportunity to safely report the UAPs that they are seeing or encountering in the air. And I can't express how critical this piece of what I believe is a larger collection of evidence and facts actually happened. We've been approached by pilots. I've talked to folks that have been engaged with our office and others, and there is still enormous stigma. And essentially, we don't have a system where folks are feeling free to be able to report what they're seeing. And so I just want to reiterate that, that advocacy. Mr. Gold, in your testimony, you discuss NASA's aviation safety reporting system, a confidential, non-punitive reporting mechanism. In the Safe Airspace for Americans Act, we explicitly allow for civilian reporting, of course, of UAPs. Can you explain why the NASA task force recommended the use of the aviation safety reporting system?
The aviation safety reporting system is an existing system that is trusted, that has taken hundreds of thousands, now millions of cases. And again, recognizing budgetary constraints, this seemed like the perfect way to be able to gain more data. And when it comes to the stigma, sir, it's something that pilots are used to reporting on, that crew is used to reporting on. So it's a great way to get data, to overcome the stigma without spending really that much more additional money since the system exists. Thank you so much for your support of that. Thank you for what Ryan Graves does. This is a common sense means to expose the truth of UAP for the purpose of this hearing.
Thank you. And I just want to also add, now earlier this year, as part of the House Defense Authorization Bill, the NDAA, I had filed an amendment to include the UAP Disclosure Act, which would create a UAP Records Review Board and exercise with exercise of eminent domain over UAP-related material, modeled actually on the JFK Assassination Records Collection Act, which is widely known. Now, the amendment was blocked, but thankfully the Senate included the amendment by Senator Rounds and Schumer for the UAP Disclosure Act. So I just again want to say that we should be pushing and ensuring the UAP Disclosure Act, which is bipartisan in its support, should move forward. And if I can just briefly, particularly Admiral, can you just briefly, as I close my time, explain why the UAP Disclosure Act would be critical for us and our national security?
Thank you, Congressman. Yes, I believe the UAP Disclosure Act is important for national security, as well as advancing potential socioeconomic benefits resulting from UAP research, as well as public safety, as we referred to previously regarding aviation. And this act will allow for greater transparency and open research, and that's why I'm also a member of the UAP Disclosure Fund as an advisor, as in the Sol Foundation, as an advisor, senior strategic advisor, which is advocating for the same.
Thank you very much. I yield back.
All right, thank you. I'd like to recognize Mr. Biggs for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for holding this committee. Thank you to the witnesses. Admiral, the video that is called the Go Fast video, the email that you've talked about being deleted, I just want to briefly cover this. You said that the email, the author was asking whether any of the recipients were aware of the classified technology demonstrations that it could explain the objects that were observed. And then you said the email disappears. Then you guys have a series of meetings. The commander of fleet forces and his operations officer never discussed the incident again. Is that right? Is that accurate?
That's accurate, sir.
And even during weekly meetings, it was never discussed again. My question for you is, you were in those meetings. Did you personally hear that nothing was going on about that?
Yes, sir. I was in those meetings, and
did you make inquiries about that?
No, I did not, sir, because I inferred, since I had been read into other special access programs, that this UAP video was part of one that I was not read into, or any of the recipients, or the author of the email, and that an intelligence agency basically pulled it back and instructed the author of the email, hey, this is, you just conducted what they call spillage into a lower classification level, and when that's done, the procedures are basically to remove any of the communication.
You're going to silo it. So, and you, Mr. Elizondo, you said in your report and your testimony today, a government work on the UAP subject still remains classified. Excessive secrecies led to grave misdeeds against loyal civil servants, military personnel, and the public, all to hide the fact that we are not alone in the cosmos. Fair?
Yes, sir.
All right, and all of you, and Mr. Schellenberger, by the way, I've read several of your books, Mr. Schellenberger, excellent stuff.
Thank you.
What I would say, too, is you were asked about the veracity of the author of this report. You're comfortable with the veracity?
Veracity.
Yes.
Okay. And then, and I'll get to you in a second, Mr. Gold. We'll talk about Cookin. and Lakatoshan scientific advancement and how we're obviating that through these processes. But we'll get to that in a sec, because what I want to really get to is the ultimate question it really becomes this. For what purpose is the federal government overclassifying, because that's what they're doing, they're overclassifying, and forbidding the public for getting access to this? And if you know, if you have an explanation, I'm curious, because I know what I've been told. I just want to know from your perspective, why do they overclassify? Mr. Elizondo, you look like you're finger on the button, ready to go.
Yes, sir. Forgive me. I think there's several reasons. I think at the time when this reality became evident to the U.S. government, we were in the middle of the Cold War with then Soviet Union, and we did not want to tip our hands to what our knowledge base was on this topic. We did not want to broadcast that to
the Cold War's long over.
It is, sir. It is, sir. There's also then the philosophical argument that the Department of Defense and the intelligence community is solution-oriented. And when you don't have answers, it's a really tough spot to be in.
It's easier to be quiet and suppressed than if you don't have the answer.
Indeed, sir. In fact, there's a very real example when we built the U-2 spy plane and flew it over then Russia, and we're taking reconnaissance. And when we first started flying the aircraft, it flew so high and so fast we thought they weren't tracking us. In reality, they were tracking every flight. It wasn't until the Russians could develop the SA-2 surface-to-air missile and successfully shoot them down.
I would suggest to you also, along with Lakatos and Kuhn, you also have a problem with Kenneth Arrow's path dependence or increasing returns. That's one reason why they won't disclose it. It's too painful to admit. But I just want to read a couple things from Mr. Schellenberger's what he gave to us today, because I think this is interesting stuff, and I just want to convey this to you. On USG networks, there exists infrared footage of and imagery of a grouping of vessels engaged in SIGINT and massive collection at night in a specific area of the Pacific Ocean. This footage, which was in close proximity to the vessels, a large equilateral triangle UAP suddenly appears directly over the ships. These three bright points are seen at each bottom corner of the UAP, which is observed to slowly rotate on its horizontal axis. And he goes on to describe that. And I just want to read one more.
This one's the malicious one.
And I'm doing this because...
Or who knows?
I think it's interesting. This stuff is interesting as anything. So let's get this one here, right here.
Very small ones.
While performing a routine airspace surveillance and control mission in the Eastern Air Defense Sector, an F-22 fighter observed multiple UAP contacts at mission altitude. Moving to intercept, the F-22 pilot noted multiple metallic orbs slightly smaller than a sedan, hovering in place. Upon vectoring towards the UAPs, a smaller formation of the metallic orbs accelerated at rapid speed towards the F-22, which was unable to establish radar locks on the presumed hostile UAPs. The F-22 broke trajectory and attempted to evade, but was intercepted and boxed in by approximately 3 to 6 UAPs. And then I'll leave that there, but because I just have no more time left. Well, she's not looking. So let's just get into let's get into part of this.
I thought I would be saved by the bell.
No. Let's talk about Kuhnian, Lakatoshan type of scientific development, and the problem that we have here is you have institutional blockage of what would be normal development of scientific ideas. And if you want to expand that, Mr. Gold.
We're over time, so be very fast, please.
I'll just say I'm a recovering attorney, so please take it easy on the science. But all breakthroughs have been heretical at first, and that's the challenge that we face, particularly with something as extraordinary as this, which is why gathering the data is so important. And I'll just end by saying, by the way, the overclassification of material is in no way limited to UAP. That is occurring throughout the government, as well as the inability to get people classifications in a timely and efficient manner, and then to have those classifications be broad enough to be useful. So this is a larger issue that I hope that Congress will look at.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Biggs. I've been generous. All right, Mr. Burleson, I'll recognize you for 5 minutes of questions, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Elizondo, does any branch of the United States government or defense contract
stuff to know which ones are like real and fake constantly, but I mean, fake is kind of just not really been a thing as of late. What is that Malaysian flight with the 3? It's specifically the The probes. There's like different kinds, and there's one, but it's usually the both Malaysian flight. Is it 370? And then they found it. Probes. I'm not trying to look for. How about a short? Search for the most expensive search in aviation history. What's this? Probes? Orbs? Aliens, the truth? Come on, just show me the shorts. Let me get a short. And then what is this? Crazy. Whoa. Look. I tried to search something specific and it took me to a Wikipedia. Interesting. Oh yeah, here it is right here. It's debunk. CGI or real?
Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 disappeared in 2014. Shortly after, 2 videos hit the internet. Recently, these videos...
Bro, I don't want to see like any of this crazy shit that people could have...
Undeniable proof that they're real. Let's start by watching the clips.
Okay, this is all I want to see. That's it.
Thing.
Boop. Boop. That.
The whole frame gets brighter.
So one of our base requirements is multiple witnesses, multiple camera angles. This one comes with a second clip.
It's just like, what is this plane doing? They're taking like evasive maneuvers? Who's filming this?
I love how you could see like the trails.
Like, what's going on? Like, it's also
Infrared.
why it's so shaky, because it's like, should be on a nice smooth gimbal.
Oh, there's an...
There you have it.
It's a weird one.
It is a weird one.
Wouldn't that be cool if that was real? Well, actually, no, that'd be terrible, because, you know, there's a lot of people on that plane. Although, I guess they're not dying, they're going to a new dimension.
Yeah, they might be living it up.
They might be living up. Like, who knows if they even noticed?
No original footage, just YouTube videos. It's not good. When your original footage is a YouTube video. Yeah.
Why does that have to be a deduction? Anyways, there's that. With this hasn't been here forever, has it? This is now being placed there. People reported they see it kidnapped. Did they ever find it? I mean, I wasn't trying to dig through these kinds of... Wasn't trying to do this morning.
In that simply because I don't have the expertise.
But
that's what they were just talking about.
That we have possession of bodies?
Yes.
We have is it multiple types of creatures?
And I'm not even like a...
Sir, I couldn't answer that. I can tell you anecdotally...
UFO head.
It was discussed quite a bit when I was at the Pentagon. The problem is the supposed collection of these biological samples occurred before my time, in fact, before I was even born.
And was this part of the Lockheed Martin discussion, or was this the biologics is a completely separate...
Separate yet related.
Okay. Has anyone made
this is recent.
Sir, I'm sorry, could you specify?
Has there been any, to your knowledge, any communication with a non-human life form?
So the term communication is a bit of a trick word because there's verbal communication like we're having now. The problem
all these guys up here have to be careful how they answer too.
Nonverbal, meaning when a Russian reconnaissance aircraft comes into U.S. airspace, we scramble 2 F-22s, and we are certainly communicating intent and capability. I think the same goes with this. We have these things that are being observed over controlled U.S. airspace, and they're not really doing a good job hiding themselves. They're making it pretty obvious they have the ability to even interfere with our nuclear equities and our nuclear readiness.
Is the United States government and our contractors, are they pulling technology from this? They're reverse engineering this?
Sir, as I previously stated, and please forgive me, I am not authorized to discuss specifics about crash retrievals. I signed documentation with the U.S. government. What I can say was, after a very thorough review process by the Pentagon, what I wrote about, and that was my limit, unfortunately, that I was given.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I would like to recognize Mr. Timmons for 5 minutes of questioning.
Or attempts.
Madam Chair. Mr. Elizondo, you just said something interesting. You said they don't seem to be hiding. They don't seem to be hiding. The UAP sightings are becoming increasingly brash, if you will. And, you know, we've been hearing about these for years, but they've generally been isolated and not as consistent and over critical military installations. Would you say that's fair? Is this becoming increasingly often? Is it happening more and more?
Great question, sir. Let me see if I can answer this for you. Certainly, there seems to be some indication that they're being provocative, meaning that they're, in some cases, literally splitting aircraft formations right down the middle. So that's an air safety issue. The question is it the frequency increasing? And really the response is, it depends. Yes, it's possible that there is an increase in frequency, but it's also possible that there's heightened awareness now, and there's also more pervasiveness of technology out there that's collecting this information and that can record this information. So we're not quite sure yet if it's actually an increase in numbers of these events, or is it that we have better equipment now that to record these things, and we have a better ability,
crazy, because
to analyze these things.
Just
and that's my
spoke.
next question. It seems that a lot of these sightings occur
In a podcast.
near
Which
military
one was it?
installations. Do you think that these
Like a Life of a CEO or something?
UAPs are intentionally targeting military installations, or do you think that we have increased abilities to monitor surrounding the military installations?
Sir, maybe both. Part of my concern is we have something in the Department of Defense and the intelligence community called IPB, Initial Preparations of the Battle Space. And we use equities like ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, and other type of equities and technologies to prep the battle space. And certainly, you know, if I was wearing my national security hat, even if there was a 2% chance that there was some sort of hostile intent here, that's 2% higher than we really can accept. And so we must figure out, there's a calculus, capabilities versus intent, in order to identify if something is a national security threat. We've seen some of the capabilities, yet we have no idea in the intent. And so this is why this discussion is somewhat, I think, problematic from a governmental perspective, because we have no idea.
Sure, thank you. Mr. Schellenberger, you're particularly familiar with the Langley Air Force Base incident
Makes sense.
a year ago? Are you familiar?
Gotham.
Just from what I read in the
Just
news.
from what you've read?
Yeah.
I would imagine a large percentage of the American population became aware of that with the Wall Street Journal article. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And were you aware of that incident prior to the Wall Street Journal article?
No.
To the rest of the panel, was the Wall Street Journal article the first time that y'all were made aware of what was essentially an over 2-week UAP frenzy over Langley Air Force Base? Were
Langley
y'all
Air
aware of
Force
this prior
Base?
to the Wall Street Journal article? Anybody, show of hands. Yes,
sir.
Dr. Guyette, could you give me how did you become aware of it?
A colleague of mine who I referenced previously, Chris Mellon, he wrote an extensive article about this, that there were other incursions of drones over Langley before this, as well as many, many military installations over the last 5 decades.
And it's my understanding that there's been an ever increasing in number, and I'm trying to think how to say this because I wear 2 different hats. I'm still in the Air Force. So, I mean, it seems that they're becoming increasingly brash, and the question that we really have to figure out is it China or is it non-human? And I think that's the biggest question the American people want to know. If it's China, it's scary because they have a lot of technology that we cannot explain. And if it's non-human, that's scary because we don't know the intent. Would you say that's fair?
Yes, Congressman. And in fact, I really believe that we should use this hearing as a catalyst to improve and bolster our air defense capabilities and our maritime domain awareness capabilities, because obviously there are holes in it, whether it be UAP of non-HI direction or NHI direction, or, as you say, sir, China or any other adversary.
Are you all aware of any task force at the Pentagon or in the national security apparatus that's trying to assess the answer to that question?
At the current moment, sir, no, but this is a great point. From 2020 to 2022, there was a UAP task force in the DoD succeeding where Mr. Elizondo worked, led by Jay Stratton, who had the first comprehensive whole-of-government approach to UAP, which involved pathways to declassification and to increase transparency, as well as assessing the national security risks of UAP. This was a really well-established approach, and we have all advocated that something like it return.
I'm running out of time. The last thing is that we need authorities. The law enforcement, military do not have authorities to actually engage, and we need to Congress needs to act to give those authorities to local law enforcement and the military so they have clear guidelines on how to assess these issues going forward. I yield back. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize Ms. Boebert for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now that we have all been cautioned in this committee hearing that the mention of Pentagon's Immaculate Constellation program could put us on a list, well, I already find myself on many lists, I'm sure. So I speak my mind often, so why not just keep going with it? May as well just go all out and say it. The earth is flat, birds are government drones, and we've never set foot on the moon, and Joe Biden received 81 million votes in the 2020 election. So let's just see how many lists we could get on here today. But Mr. Schellenberger, I wanted to ask you,
Bro.
I think I understand from this hearing that you would agree that classifying information like this is not in the best interest of the people. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, with the caveat that, of course, I would support classification necessary to protect secrets essential to national security, but I think it's pretty obvious that there's overclassification.
Overclassification, yes. And so in most instances, if they can't tell us what, do you think at some point they'll at least tell us why?
President-elect Trump has repeatedly committed to greater transparency, both on the UAP issue, on JFK files, on COVID origins, and many other things. So I think that we need to make sure that the next administration is held accountable for that.
Agreed. And this is for all four of you. Yes or no, please. I have many questions I want to get to. Are there any known instances of recovered materials or technologies that are not of human origin and maybe connected to any advanced bioscience
You already asked this
defense
question,
programs
and the answer is
within
yes.
USG?
I don't know.
I wouldn't be able to answer that, ma'am.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, so there are rumors that have come up to the Hill of a secretive project within the Department of Defense involving the
Maybe I'm just
manipulation
kidding.
of human genetics with what is described as non-human genetic material, potentially for the enhancement of human capabilities, hybrids. Are any of you familiar with that?
I'm confused
Yes or no?
what we're allowed to talk about.
I am not, ma'am.
I'm not.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I would like to know, with Immaculate Constellation, how does this relate to UAP activities, Mr. Schellenberg, in oceanic environments? Are there any instances where the Navy or other maritime forces have encountered UAPs that could not be explained by known technology or natural phenomena?
Yeah, the Immaculate Constellation covers both terrestrial and oceanic, and there's actually a number of cases described in the report that occur in the ocean.
And do you believe that there is
The same
a
ones in the
concerted
sky
effort by the Pentagon
can go
to
on the
keep
water.
Congress out of the loop regarding these
Can
UAP
go on the
activities,
land.
specifically in our waters?
Yes.
In the ice.
I think it's about 5% of our ocean that's actually been studied in detail by man, and we've studied more of space than we had of our own oceans. And so are there any accounts of UAPs emerging from or submerging into our water which could indicate a base or presence beneath the ocean's surface?
I don't know about a base, but as I mentioned, I had a different source entirely describe this pretty extraordinary footage that exists of orbs, of an orb coming out of the ocean and being met by another orb.
Some would say that there's multiple hot spots where we see frequent activity. So in your investigations, have you come across any data or visual evidence like sonar readings or underwater footage of these UAPs?
Gas
I have
stations.
not beyond what's in the report.
Interesting.
You've written about UAPs not only in the
An
air
interesting
but in
thought.
underwater. Are there any specifics on what you've learned about the UAP activity in our oceans? Particularly, have you spoken with sources who have provided
How
any
long is
evidence
this?
or eyewitness accounts of these UAPs
Holy.
interacting with our naval forces or being detected by our underwater surveillance systems?
Nothing beyond what's in the report and then the specific case that I mentioned with the orbs.
So this report says it all. There's no other information that we are aware of regarding the activity within our waters.
I have other sources that have told me, that have shared a significant amount of information, but they're not comfortable with me sharing it at this point.
Okay. Are there any technological capabilities observed in these oceanic UAPs that seem to defy our current understanding of physics or our engineering capabilities?
It seems like they all do.
Yes, I would agree with that. My time is up, but I do appreciate your bravery, your courage for coming here and speaking today. And it seems like there's still some questions that we need answers to, and we will not relent until we get those to the American people. Thank you all.
Thank you. I move to allow
Thank you.
myself and the ranking member 5 additional minutes for questions without objection, so ordered.
Nice. Wrap up.
Mr.
5 additional
Elizondo,
minutes.
were you read into the Immaculate Constellation program?
Ma'am, I would not be authorized to confirm nor deny the existence of any ongoing or past program, especially as it relates to a special access program, either by name or trigraph.
Okay, and then does the U.S. government or private contractors, do they work with other foreign countries, China, for example, to exchange data, quote, from a source, that intelligence data about UAP?
Let me see if I can answer that a little bit more generally, ma'am, if I may. We do have foreign material exploitation programs. That is something that is widely known, and that term itself is unclassified. How exactly that works becomes a bit sensitive. A discussion we could certainly have in a closed session if you like. We do work with international partners and allies quite often, not just in military exercises and workups, but in other intelligence efforts as well.
In terms of material that's given to private contractors, is certain material given to certain contractors because of their experience? So, for example, if it's related to submerged and undersea propulsion, would it go to a general contractor like General Dynamics?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely correct. Different contractors have different levels of expertise.
What's Lockheed's expertise?
Aerospace, ma'am.
In the UAP space, that's all that, they wouldn't do submerged?
No, I didn't say that, ma'am.
Okay.
Lockheed Martin and others do quite a bit of work both in our atmosphere, in space, and even underwater. There are certain efforts to. It's a tough question you're asking. Put me on the spot here.
I'm looking for the answer.
Yes, ma'am. No, they are involved in a lot. I would rather let Lockheed Martin explain the different domains that they are involved with. Probably I'm not authorized to discuss that, but they are involved in a lot of different areas and domains.
Admiral, flight safety risks for our pilots, based on what you've experienced and seen in your career.
They're extensive, and the one exercise I referred to where I received the email that was then deleted was the pilots, and this is worth bringing out.
No, I wasn't talking about Cookin.
Who have said the Go Fast video was just a balloon.
Literally.
That was only one video that was released. There were dozens of these encounters that pilots and friends of Ryan Graves, who's in this room right here, witnessed and caused significant safety concerns. And to almost call out and exercise it and shut it down, which is very compressed, and the carrier's getting ready for deployment, and the pilots have to get certified to land on a carrier. It's extreme, to say the least.
All right, I have 2 last questions. Real quickly, Mr. Schellenberger, how do we get more whistleblowers to come forward?
Well, this hearing is very important, and obviously, I can't encourage whistleblowers to obtain information, but I can guarantee that I will protect them and go to prison to protect their identities if they come to me.
Yes, sir. Okay, my last question. The first hearing we
Whistleblower.
had on this, I'd never been briefed on UAPs or what they were, biologics, non-human, et cetera. How would you define, each of you, my last question, how would you define non-human biologics, non-human
UAP.
intelligence? What are we actually talking about? Admiral, and we'll go down the line.
I don't think it's a stretch when you look at the diversity of life on this planet and the size of this universe to think that there would be more diverse, higher order, non-human intelligences throughout the universe, and that's probably what's visiting us.
I would take the scientific approach. The definition would be the ability to react to a stimulus in a manner that requires an intellectual thought process.
I just don't know.
I think we must be modest in our assumptions that we're looking for intelligence. That could be biological, it might not.
Non-biological, but what non-biological intelligence, what does that mean, though?
Artificial intelligence, ML, machines. We assume that all intelligence would be like us, and every time we look out in the universe, we are humbled relative to what we don't know in terms of the forms of intelligence and what it may take. I can assure you I probably can't ask you your question, but I think the ultimate answer is going to surprise us all.
And then Mr. Garcia, you had a few closing remarks.
And I know we're about to hit votes here, so I'll be brief. Just, I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank Chairwoman Mace especially for holding this important bipartisan
everybody.
hearing. And I want to thank all the committee members that are interested in this topic. I think our commitment to all of you and all the folks that have contacted us, and certainly to the advocates and the pilots, is that we need to continue investigating UAPs. I think the country the country is owed explanations and ensure that the safety or national security is always protected. This is a conversation and questioning that must continue, so I'm very grateful to all of you. And I also just want to add, just personally, I think it's really important for me, two things guide my questioning and my observations on UAPs. One is we should always be guided by facts, science, and data, and stay serious on those issues. And the second thing is I think that we should not limit our imagination and our thoughts and our curiosity on what UAPs could actually be. And I think those two things for me are really important, and I'm grateful for all of you to be here. So with that, I yield back.
Okay, and we have Mr. Ogles, who is on the way. He's going to be here any second. Is that correct? We'll check, and he'll be the last member with questions that we have today, and then we have votes. So we want to thank you all for being here.
Votes? For what?
I want to thank Mr. Garcia and folks on both sides of the aisle for being here today and being patient. We have a lot more questions, and I hope that this will open the door to more hearings in the future. I obviously would like to know how much taxpayers are spending on this. You have the right to know. But also, if we're spending money on something that doesn't exist, why are we spending the money? And if it does exist, why are we hiding it from the public? And of course, our national security is a huge issue, because if there's technology that could harm us or our allies that are in the hands of our adversaries, we obviously want to stay ahead of that to the best of our ability to ensure that that technology is not in the hands of someone who could use it against us or our allies anywhere in the world. So, Mr. Ogles, you're just in time, babe. I will recognize you for 5 minutes of questioning before we head on out today.
Now the 5 minutes of questioning. Okay. My desk right here.
Well, thank you all for being here. And Madam Chairwoman, I out of breath because I sprinted to get here. But this is an important hearing. I think we all know that there's something going on.
Oh, shit.
Mr. Elizondo, based on your knowledge of UAP sightings, do you believe it's fair to say that they are especially common near nuclear sites?
Yes, sir. Mr. Congressman, I absolutely am convinced of that, as are my colleagues inside the government.
And the reason why I pose that question, and this has been one of my talking points from the beginning, is, Oak Ridge is in Tennessee. The so-called weather balloon that drifted, that we now know was controlled, it passed near Oak Ridge. It obviously is a sensitive site, both of interest to our adversaries and to whatever else this is. Because we know that at military installations,
I suppose,
at sensitive locations,
very
such
recent
as
video,
nuclear facilities,
but let's be
that we're
careful
seeing
about
take
our
place.
wording, okay?
So the question is what is it?
Not alien.
Do you believe they've caused an irregular
Extraterrestrial
activity?
beings, potentially
And
human beings
Why might they be interested
of a
in
different
Sir, in some cases, it's actually regular
universe,
activity. You'd be surprised. There's
multiverse,
actually documentation
body,
right now that's been submitted.
out of
It's not
body,
just Oak Ridge. It's Savannah River Site, SRS. It's also Los Alamos.
looking human.
A lot of our sensitive R&D locations appear to
Still
be under some
aliens?
sort of surveillance and monitoring. Why? Well, because a lot of innovation comes out of those areas. A lot of new technologies, a lot of if you will, disruptive technologies that we use for our national defense originates out of those locations, and advanced concepts in physics as well.
Well, we are to
if
them.
I was doing any type of
probably.
reconnaissance, even on a
So
foreign
fair,
adversary,
I suppose, but let's
that's
just,
a great target to start with.
Put our best foot forward here.
And again, this has been one of my
because
talking
whatever
points.
you're
I do
writing
have
down right now is
questions.
documented.
What role might the Department of Energy
And let's make
or its
sure
subsidiaries or affiliates
the way you
have
want to be represented
in this type
is
of technology, or possessing this type of
the way you'd want
technology,
it.
whether it's ours or
Golden
others.
rule.
Mr. Gallaudet, I think your testimony has been pretty clear, but would you please
It's
reiterate?
not too late. I got your back. I'm trying to save you. So,
pose a threat to pilots. Excuse me.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. They were threatening Navy pilots during the exercise that I was.
be careful.
My people were involved with in 2015. And it's my understanding they're risking pilot safety, commercial and military today.
Well, considering, and I understand that there's a need
can't delete it.
in some
No,
cases to keep certain
won't do
technologies
that.
secret. But you believe that it is posing a threat to our personnel, correct?
Yes, sir.
So I think it's reasonable to conclude that if there's a threat to our personnel
Just
who are serving our country faithfully, that there be oversight.
correct yourself with the
100%,
previous
Congressman.
mistake,
In fact, that's the
so
one
it
thing that we've not
documents
talked about enough during this
growth.
hearing is the fact that the government executive branch not
Because I
sharing with
deleted doesn't
Congress
mean
what it
that
knows about
it
UAP
didn't already
infringes on
happen,
your
and
legislative
because
and
it already
oversight
happened,
responsibilities to such an extent.
I don't think they have
that's
that
very
technology.
concerning. I mean, what else are we? If you look at national
They can
security,
get
or
Snapchat
intelligence, or foreign
messages
affairs, or
that
appropriations,
already
you
get
all have oversight
sliced.
and legislative responsibility regarding those. This UAP issue may be the greatest issue of our time, and it's being hid from you.
Well, I mean, and
You know
to
what
your
the
point,
difference
I think
between,
we've seen
UAP?
over the decades that we have certain adversaries like China, like Russia,
And UFO is?
that technologically speaking are
UFO
not
is
as
out of
advanced
date?
as us, that they lack some of the lethality that we have, and that we've seen that they've gone after our technologies and in some cases succeeded, in particular with missile technology. And so again, my concern, whether this technology emanates
UAP.
from us or otherworldly, that we know that we possess it. And where's the accountability? Where
Okay.
are the stopgaps?
Unidentified
What are the guarantees
anomalous
that if
phenomena.
this were to fall in enemy hands,
Because
that it isn't immediately weaponized
unidentified
against us?
flying
And I'll say
object,
this, it is clear from my
Flying-
experience and what I've seen that there
like
is
these
something
things
out
aren't
there.
flying anymore.
The question is it ours
Because to fly,
Is it
you
someone
can't
else's?
do like
or is it otherworldly? And Madam Chairman, I would posit
180
that as
degree
the
turns going
legislative
like
body,
1 million miles per hour
regulatory
this
body,
way, and then going
we
that's not
must
flight anymore.
know.
That's not flight.
And anyone
That's why they
who
can't say
prevents us from
UFO
gaining
anymore.
access
It's out
to
of
that
date.
information, I would consider
That's why
that
it's
criminality.
UAP now.
Because we have U.S.
Unidentified anomalous
personnel who may very
phenomena.
well be in harm's way. We have technology that ultimately may threaten our very existence. With that, Madam Chairman, I thank you for your indulgence, and I yield back.
Thank you, Ms.
On national defense. The repeated UAP sightings around sensitive military sites underscores the need for innovative defensive strategies beyond traditional measures. They also highlight the urgent need for updated policies to address emerging threats as well as more
Looks like that was
effective
it.
interagency cooperation
I think it's going to
and
restart.
intelligence sharing. However, none of this is going to be possible without transparency. For far too long, critical information about UAPs has been either classified or ignored, leaving the American public and key congressmen without clarity needed to make informed decisions. Declassifying reports and fostering a more open dialogue about UAPs will not only increase the public trust, but also encourage collaboration between government, the scientific community, and our allies. Quite frankly, there's been things that have been kept secret that is, I think, old enough that there is no reason it shouldn't be released, regardless of any so-called, private information. A transparent approach will allow us to share insights, identify patterns, and develop new strategic defenses. As we continue to investigate these phenomena, we must do so with a mindset of protecting our country, advancing scientific discovery, and upholding the trust of the American people, who right now I don't think have trust, and it's just obvious I don't have trust. We cannot shy away from the unknown, especially when the stakes are so high. I look forward to discussing these matters with the witnesses today. I'm hopeful we can learn from the testimony and come out of this hearing with actionable ideas to advance UAP transparency. Actually, the idea is just to say, in my mind, go back 15 years and everything has to be released. I'm hopeful that we can learn from their testimony and come out of this hearing. And with that, I yield back.
Thank you. I will now recognize Mr. Moskowitz for a 5-minute introduction.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Good morning, everyone. I first want to thank the chairs and ranking members for holding the hearing today on this topic and again having a second hearing. I want to thank the witnesses for coming forward today to share your expertise on UAPs and the need to build trust through transparency.
Sweet. So there was like, what is that one CEO channel? CEO, I'm sub to it. He did speak there, and I did watch. There it is, diary. When did this guy speak? It wasn't too long ago. There it is, right here. 2 weeks ago only. And this is that guy that was literally there. Five toxicologists, these products?
We are absolutely not alone in the universe. And I know these things are real because I was asked.
At first, I thought this was, who was that guy's name? What's his name, milady? You know who I'm talking about.
To investigate UFO incursions into controlled U.S. airspace by the Pentagon. These videos here, there's no question what you're seeing.
And there's more videos like this that you've been exposed to.
Oh, yeah, but they're classified because there's a lot of
Jason?
people who don't want us talking about this.
Should we be worried about this?
Luis Elizondo is a respected intelligence officer and former head of the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program,
where he led efforts to investigate UFO sightings and unidentified aerial phenomena.
There were real things that we were encountering over controlled U.S. airspace by an unknown technology that frankly could out.
What's your professional CV? What is your professional resume?
Microbiology, immunology, and parasitology. I consider myself a disciple of the scientific method and scientific principles. I then joined the Army. United States Army. I went in as enlisted. I had an opportunity to go in as an officer because of my education. But the words of my father always rung in the back of my head. And he said, in order to be a leader, you must first know what it means to follow. And so I joined the Army as an enlisted soldier, spent some time on deployments, Korea, lived a year in Asia, was in military intelligence. And then I was recruited very shortly thereafter into a special program where I became a civilian special agent in counterintelligence, running investigations, supervised investigations throughout Latin America, South America.
You said in 2008, 2009, you were asked to come back to the Pentagon to work on a particular project.
Being the project everybody knows me for. So in 2008, they asked me to run a program to help integrate national level intelligence with law enforcement, local and state law enforcement.
This guy was
Now,
just
why is that important? Because
on the live answering.
It kind of leads to the next thing. After 9/11, people think here 9/11 was caused by unfortunately some terrorists doing some bad things. That was an effect. That wasn't the cause. The actual cause was us here in the United States not being able to share information with ourselves very well. We had pockets of information at the CIA, pockets of information at the FBI, pockets of information at the Department of Defense, but we weren't sharing it with each other. And thereby, there was an information gap, an intelligence gap, and the folks in 9/11 were able to do what they did, unfortunately. So we learned that lesson by trying to create better integration. So how do you take super secret information and get it down to a level that can be consumed and usable without compromising sources and methods? So that was the problem I was asked to come back and fix. It was shortly thereafter is when I was visited by some individuals and had some conversations with some other individuals about a program that I had no idea was ongoing, but it was. It's investigation into UAP, or in the vernacular, you might call them UFOs. Protected. It's a gentleman named Jay Stratton, who at the time was another intelligence official, a blue badge. So I knew that they were expertise in a particular portfolio or mission that you outsource. You find the right people. Do I think of them? And my response was, I don't, because I don't. You asked me. And he said, well, what do you mean? You don't? I said, I UFOs. Him looking at me, epitome of a rocket scientist. And at the end, he was running a program, and I still didn't know what the program was, but he said, look, we've been doing it, we've been given a lot of money to do it right, and we're looking for somebody with your skill sets. And his name was Dr. James Lakatsky, and the epitome of a rocket scientist. And at the end of the conversation, I remember him looking at me over his glasses, and he said to me, what do you think about UFOs? And so I thought for a moment, and I said to him, I said, I'm sorry, I don't. And he said, well, what do you mean? You don't believe in UFOs? I said, no, I didn't say that. You asked me, what do I think of them? And my response was, I don't, because I don't think about them. I'm too busy chasing bad guys and trying to fix problems for the government. I never really had the luxury to think about them. And he said to me, okay, that's fair enough, but let me just warn you, don't let your analytic bias get the best of you, because you may learn things here that will challenge any preconceived notion or narrative that you have about the topic. And so I left that meeting thinking to myself, is this some sort of psychological evaluation? Was that a serious question? And it was very soon thereafter that I learned the reality that the United States government was absolutely invested in a UFO investigative program. And more importantly, that it was legitimate. It was real. There were real things that we were encountering over controlled U.S. airspace, over sensitive military installations, by an unknown technology that frankly could outperform anything that we had in our inventory. So that was that was my introduction to now what is known as ATIP. My focus was specifically more on the nuts and bolts investigations of these UAP incursions into controlled U.S. airspace, encounters by military aircraft of these things. We weren't really focused on civilian information, right? It wasn't like a grandma seeing some lights in the backyard. These were, well, to lack of a better term, close encounters by trained military pilots, trained observers, by the way, who could recognize a silhouette between an Su-22, a MiG-25, and an F-16 from 10 miles away and make a split-second decision if it's a friend or foe. And what these pilots were encountering were also being backed up by gun camera footage and FLIR footage, forward-looking infrared footage. And oh, by the way, that was being further backed up by radar data, airborne radar data, and also ground-based radar data and sea-based radar data.
How do you go from the project you were working on into ATIP?
It's a lot of stuff.
That was the first sort of meeting, right?
What do you think,
like
lady?
An introductory conversation.
So there were several meetings before that
Right.
where they were trying to vet me, see if I had, I guess, the right background and skill sets. It wasn't until that meeting with Jim Lukatsky that the word UFO was used. And how did I go about that? He's the one who made the decision. It was his program. I had nothing to do with it. I just, yeah, I'll do it. I didn't even know what I was signing up for until after my meeting with him.
So did he say to you, okay, well, we'd like you to work on this program, this ATIP program. The acronym there stands for Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program.
Correct.
And eventually you became the director of that program.
Yeah, so there was a natural evolution of it. Initially, they were brought in to provide counterintelligence and security expertise. But as that program OSAP faded away, the necessity and urgency of some of these incursions was getting to a desperate crescendo. It was getting really, there was a lot of these incursions happening. There was a big national security issue that we were all recognizing. And there were some elements in the government that were trying to kill the effort. And not for reasons you might think, believe it or not. It was completely different. And so the decision was made to bring it up to the Pentagon, up to where I was, take it out of DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency.
It's pretty good listen.
For years and years and years.
I'm scared of the ET. Well, what is that?
The term UFO, unidentified flying object, was used. There were several reasons, but later on the term was changed to UAP, and it stood for unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Oh, there it is.
And that's probably in the last year and a half, you're starting to see another definition of UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomenon. And there's a reason for that. Happy to explain if you want, but the decision was made to change from UFO to UAP.
I read that it was because a lot of the sort of military personnel stopped reporting their sightings because there was a stigma associated with the term UFO.
Correct. So it's two reasons. There is stigma and taboo associated with the term because the moment you say UFO, people think tinfoil hats and
they think you're crazy.
Yeah, Elvis on the mothership and nonsense like that. But the reality is that this was a real issue, a national security issue for our nation and other nations too, by the way. But also the term UFO isn't really accurate anymore. So what do I mean by that? Well, unidentified flying object. What is flying? Well, flying means you have four fundamental forces. You have thrust, lift, drag, and weight. And when you understand that, you can create wings and create lift. And that is the definition of flying, right? These things didn't have wings. They didn't have rudders, elevators, control surfaces, ailerons, cockpits, and yet somehow they were able to remain aloft in our atmosphere. So they weren't flying technically. So the name was changed to unidentified aerial phenomena because they were being seen in the air. But then they realized, you know what? They're also being seen underwater. They're also being seen in high altitude and possibly low Earth orbit. So to say that they're aerial isn't even accurate either. So then they said, okay, it's unidentified anomalous phenomenon to cover all the separate domains or environments that these things are being encountered in.
Before you had the meeting regarding this project at the Pentagon, what did you believe about UAPs and / UFOs?
I didn't. I was never interested even in science fiction as a kid.
Did you believe they were, if I'd asked you that, if I'd come up to you and said, are UFOs real? And I say UFOs because that's the sort of social term, but what would you have said?
Probably not. I mean, I would have said literally, probably not. I wouldn't say for sure not because I didn't know.
What about now?
Oh, man, kidding me? I mean, yeah, these are real. I mean, don't take my word for it. Our government's already said it. I mean, you have a former director of national intelligence telling the world, yeah, these things are real, whatever they are. You have a former director of CIA. You have a former president of the United States. And we've known for a long time they're real. And by the way, it's not just our country. There's other countries that are very forthcoming. There's countries in South America that have been dealing with this for a long time. Japan just entered into a bilateral information sharing agreement with our country for the express purposes of sharing UAP information and data. China's interested. Russia's interested in this. Several European countries have a fairly robust capability and have a lot of information on this.
Was there a moment when your belief changed? Was there a moment that you can remember where you thought, you know what?
This is all
what I thought about UAPs
brand new breaking
was wrong?
Sure.
Pretty
and
interesting.
what I often tell people, there's two types of individuals, the way that we process this information. In one category, you have people that will sit there and say, I had this epiphany, this revelatory moment where all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, they're real, right? Are you kidding me? And then there's another group of people, which I probably fall into that second category, the latter category, which is more of a slow progression and realization of what we're dealing with is not a conventional technology. It's not our technology. It's something else. At some point, the preponderance.
Was I on cam the whole time? Yeah.
Let me give you an
literally
example.
the whole time. Literally the whole time.
I spent my life in investigations, terrorists, spies, whatever, and I've always been what I consider just the facts, ma'am, kind of guy. Very, very data driven. I don't really care about innuendos and suppositions and your opinion. Very much.
I'm
I care about
more
what the data says.
audio.
It's
It's like a radio talk show, except today it's like we're listening.
You have eyewitness testimony. You have it backed up by gun camera footage. You have it backed up by FLIR footage. You have it backed up by radar information. You've got 5, 6, sometimes 7 pieces of corroborating sensor data. That's all reporting the same event at the same time, at the same place, under the same circumstances. Now, if I was in a court of law and I was presenting this as evidence, we are well beyond reasonable doubt. The jury would have no choice but to convict because the evidence is so. The same collection sensor suite that we use to prosecute and win a war, and forgive the vernacular, but literally drop warheads on foreheads, is the same information, the same systems we're using to collect the data on the anomalous vehicles we're seeing. And so, I know it's a very uncomfortable conversation to have. I'm not saying it's not. What I'm saying is that we have to deal with this. And it's not me just telling you that. This is our government. We know we have laws now on the books because this topic is now so serious. We have whistleblowers ready to come out and testify before the American people because this is so serious. We have set up an organization, specifically its sole purpose is to investigate UAP because this topic is so serious. So this is not a flight of fancy here. We're investing millions of dollars, taxpayer dollars, to try to figure this out. And interestingly enough, I think when the investigative body first was realized, was created, there was this hope that in the first report they said, there's 143 incidents that remain unidentified, but we're going to whittle them away. What happened the next time they had a report? There was now 300. And what happened after that? Now 800. The number's going up, not down.
That's a lot.
That remain unresolved. And so, we've got to have this uncomfortable conversation with ourselves.
You eventually left.
I did.
That project, but also more broadly, you resigned from working with the Pentagon in the role that you were working with them. Why did you resign?
Holy.
I resigned because that's what you do when you can't fix a problem internally. My concern was that we were spending time and money on an issue that leadership didn't want to know about. That leadership didn't want to inform the boss, the then Secretary of Defense, General Kim
You have
Mattis.
motives.
Theories as to what their intentions might be.
Brother, there's a whole range of theories. I mean, it could be simply as like when we're on the African Serengeti and we see the wildebeest and we're in a helicopter and, you know, not to make fun of it, but you sit there and say, oh, that one, we dart it, boom. What do? We land the helicopter, we come out, we draw blood, we do tests. We want to see its diet and its migratory patterns, its health. And then what happens? The wildebeest wakes up, kind of groggy, disoriented, stumbles over to the watering hole. And he's like, hey, Bill, you're not going to believe this, man. This thing came out of the sky. All some weird stuff happened. I was being touched. I woke up and now my butt hurts, right? It could be something as simple as that.
Do you believe any of those reports? Because people do say that they were abducted by aliens.
Well, this is my point, right? So that's one option. The other option could be simply to monitor us. It could be that we are getting very close to being able to replicate what they can do. And if that's the case, you know, maybe technologically we're only 100, 200 years behind. And if that's the case, now all of a sudden we're going to be new neighbors, right? And that could be problematic because our species is very violent. We do a lot of bad things to each other. Are we really ready to go out and meet our potential friends from out of town? I don't know. I mean, we're pretty horrible to each other. So maybe not. Certainly if I was them and I knew we were getting close, I would probably be pretty interested in what we're doing too. As far as the abductions, you know, I don't know what to tell you because I've never been abducted. I've had some people that swear by it. But, you know, you can't have a conversation about abduction and then say, oh, they're here for peaceful reasons. It doesn't work that way.
Do you believe them, the people that swear by it?
I believe that they are being truthful, that that experience they feel is real. I don't think they're lying. But the question is, you know,
Did it happen is the question.
Yeah, I can't say because I wasn't there. But I can tell you that we definitely have people that have had experiences where they are now on U.S. government full medical disability in writing because they got too close to a UAP. Now, was it deliberate that they got injured or was it just a byproduct of the technology? They got too close to it.
What does that mean they got too close to it? And you mentioned that there's some people that are on U.S. disability allowance, so they're being paid by the U.S. government.
Mm-hmm. In writing because they had a UAP encounter. They were involved in a UAP encounter.
And what does that mean, UAP encounter, in that definition?
Well, so let's look at it this way. Here's a better one. You go to the airport, right? And I'm going to hop on a 737 and go fly to Fort Lauderdale. There's no real threat there. I'm getting on a plane. It's safe. Sit on the seat, have a cocktail, you know, watch a movie, read a magazine. Now, if I were to walk out onto the tarmac, onto the runway of where that same airplane is, and that airplane decides to spool up its jet engine, chances are I'm going to be injured. I'm going to get burned. I'm going to lose my hearing and possibly a lot worse, right? There are individuals, U.S. government servicemen and women, and there's also intelligence officials who have been injured by getting too close to a UAP, whether incidentally or
time
deliberate
dilation.
or not.
The fuck does that mean?
The question is, was that injury sustained because it was deliberate, or was that injury sustained because it was just a matter of being too close to the technology? For example, let's say putting your head near a microwave oven when it's on. It's probably not very good for you, right?
And have those people spoken out?
Absolutely.
What's like a good example?
There's an individual right now named John Burroughs who had his medical files classified in the U.S. government, thankfully because of late Senator John McCain from Arizona, forced the Air Force to release his files. And as a result, he was able to get full medical disability because of an incident that involved him and another individual in the UK, known as the Rendlesham Forest incident or Bentwaters incident, where there was a joint U.S. and UK base, and there was a UFO incident where this thing had landed in the forest. And they went out to go see this thing, and they were injured.
And they were in the military at the time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Air Force Special Police or police officers.
They were injured.
They were injured.
You could search this.
That's not all. There's a lot of people
Search it.
that have been injured right now that are under medical care by government doctors.
A lot of people.
That is a fact.
When they give their account of what happened, what do they say?
They're only recently
That's what
allowed
you
to talk about it.
I mean, there's some consistency within some of the stories, and then there's some divergence. You know, it's like somebody who says they've been in a car accident, depending what kind of car you're in, and was it a multiple car pileup, and where were you sitting in the car, you're going to have a slightly different experience. So it's not one shoe fits all.
You talk about how there's been a lot of UAP sightings at nuclear technology facilities.
Yes. That's
why it's a problem.
Why this is a national security issue, because they seem to be able to disable our nuclear capabilities. Now people say, oh, well, that's like, you know, taking matches out of a kid's hands, and it's, you know, well, maybe, but in Russia, there's information to suggest they actually turned them on. So, you know, we have to be really careful with that. Our nuclear triad capability is really the crown jewels of the U.S. government. And so if a country or an adversary has the ability to interfere with a nuclear response, that's significant.
There's evidence to suggest that they turned on the nuclear facilities in Russia.
Yes.
What is that evidence?
Well,
and when was that?
There's evidence that there's actually a KGB report that suggested that one of their places was actually turned on. In fact, there's a lot. Let me be careful what I say here. So after the Berlin Wall fell, there was this brief honeymoon period between the Soviet Union and the U.S., where ex-KGB officers were sharing information with us and our government. I think that's about all I could probably say about that. But there was some very interesting information that we were able to see.
I was reading about this really interesting incident called
Yes,
the
be careful.
Polaris incident.
Polaris in Brazil.
I can't pronounce that. Say that
Oh,
again.
you did great. Polaris.
Polaris. And it sounded like a UAP incident that was witnessed by hundreds, thousands of people.
It was investigated officially by the Brazilian military under the command and control of a four-star general named General Uchoa. And he has explained before he passed away that even his own military personnel had been attacked by UAP.
And what did they see? What did they document see?
Oh my goodness, a whole litany of things. A lot of the locals recall being terrified by these things being pursued by them, almost being like a laser blast, if you can imagine that, or directed energy type injury. Very provocative. Some of the military personnel were injured as well. A lot of medical doctors came in afterwards to look at the locals and the military personnel, validating the presumption that there was some sort of directed energy type damage, tissue damage to some of these people. And of course, then the fear kind of escalated into some of the other, local lore of some other things. But it was very well established by the Brazilian military, who also witnessed these encounters. So it's not like just some people in a remote village. These were Brazilian military officers who also vouched for it. And I've spoken to dozens and dozens of military officers all throughout Latin America and in Chile and Peru and Uruguay. And they all reporting, in some cases, some very, very similar encounters, not necessarily with Colares, but instant amongst themselves. People who don't even know each other, separated by different countries, are telling me their same encounter and the same morphology of craft, and how they would, in some cases, even try to engage in a dogfight and use cannons, conventional guns, to no avail, of course. And there's reports of that in Tehran incident, I believe it was 1978, the Tehran incident with an F-14 Tomcat, where the pilot, his aircraft was disabled every time he tried to engage a target. And then, I superimposed that with, here in Huntsville, Alabama, we had some helicopters that we were testing, and something like 8 out of the 8 test pilots all reported UAP coming around their helicopters while they were testing them. And one even reported that he believed his helicopter was disabled, and he went into an emergency situation. I think it was an emergency auto rotation situation. And as soon as the UAP left, he was able to regain control of his helicopter.
Should we be worried about this?
No, I don't think worried. I think we should be concerned, because look, from a governmental perspective, to determine this, and this is why I always say this is a national security issue, but not a national security threat. And there's a reason why. So there's a very simple calculus to determine if something is a threat. It's capabilities versus intent. We have seen some of the capabilities. We have no idea the intent. No clue. So we don't know if it's a threat. And let me give you a little analogy here that might help kind of put this. I use this analogy a lot to help illustrate what do I mean. I'm sure you live in a lovely home. Let me ask you the question. Do you lock your front door before you go to bed?
Yes.
Okay. And you know what? I do too. And I think most people, we don't
Do
expect
you?
anything bad to happen, but just out of precaution, right?
Yeah.
And some folks may go the extra mile and decide, I'm going to just make sure the windows are locked once in a while. And you know what? I might even turn the alarm on at night because I can. Let's say you wake up one Sunday morning to have yourself a nice hot cup of tea or coffee, and you walk downstairs, and all of a sudden, as you come downstairs one bright morning, you notice size 12 muddy boot prints on your living room carpet that were not there
Size
the night
12.
before. Now, no one's been hurt, nothing's out of place, but despite you locking the front door and checking the windows and turning on the alarm, there are now boot prints in your living room floor that were not there the night before. My question to you is that a threat? My response is, it could be if it wanted to be, so we should probably figure out how it's getting into the house. This is kind of the same analogy of these things that can come in unimpeded, unchallenged into controlled U.S. airspace, over sensitive military installations, potentially interfere with our nuclear equities and capabilities. We should probably figure out what these things are.
With everything that you know in
Why don't
mind, and
they
everything
just-
you've witnessed and seen,
Oh,
if you had to argue against yourself, if you had to argue
Man,
the
what if
case
they pick
against everything that
sides?
you believe to make the
Holy.
case that UAPs don't exist, what exactly would you say?
Well, you can't say they don't exist. We're beyond that. They're real, whatever they are. But I could make the argument that it's foreign adversarial technology. It's Russia, it's China, right? They have leapfrogged us technologically and have been able to execute this plan wonderfully. And then the other option is that it's all a grand hallucination. So let's go down each argument. Let's go down the fact that maybe this is, I don't know, Chinese technology, Russian technology. After all, the Chinese did send balloons over our northern continental United States, spy balloons, and, for who knows how long, and we never did anything about it and tracked it. That means that for the last 70 years, some country has been able to create a technology in secret that's so far advanced of anything we have, and, by the way, deploy it over the continental United States for 70 years, completely non-attributed. Now, where were we 70 years ago? Well, we're on the heels of World War II. We had just broken the sound barrier, and we hadn't made it into space yet. Where was China? In the middle of a famine. Where was Russia? No better than we were. So if this was Chinese technology or Russian technology back then, because we had the data to show it goes all the way back, this would be the greatest intelligence failure this country has ever faced, eclipsing that of even 9/11. Because despite the billions of dollars in the 17 intelligence organizations over 70 years, there's not a trace that these countries were able to develop this and fly over our country and do what we're seeing. So that's option one. Also, temporally speaking, that type of technology didn't exist back in 1950. 1948. Not by us anyway. So that would be like going into King Tut's tomb for the very first time in the 1920s and looking in there and all of a sudden discovering a fully assembled and functioning 747. Doesn't make sense. Egyptians didn't have the technology back then, right? So let's go to the other option. So that would be the huge, biggest intelligence failure that this country's ever experienced, and that's not a good option. And very, very unlikely. So the other option is, it's a mass hallucination. Everybody's crazy. So let's go down that rabbit hole for a second. So some of the best and brightest in our intelligence community and our Department of Defense are Top Gun trained pilots who are trusted to fly live munitions over cities, populated cities, fight and win wars on our behalf. Men and women who have their finger literally on the nuclear button. They're all crazy. They're all absolutely certifiably insane. We've got a bigger problem on our hands than UAP.
What percentage of them have made reports of UAP?
It's hard to say percentage because you don't know, because the ones that
it's
don't
just
report,
a big ass can of worms, isn't it? That's a good interview. Moving on. Ladies and gentlemen, pretty much the top of the hour of the Ding Dong Damn at 11/19/2024 Eastern Time. Game Awards. We can nominate titles. What the hell? I didn't play any of these. Well, Tekken. Helldivers. Diablo 4. Really? That's allowed? Star Wars Outlaws coming soon. Wait. The hell? Nominate. Oh, okay. UFO 50. What is this? Tower defense. Interesting. Bellatro, obviously. Tell others to vote. Now. Astrobot. Shadow of the Earth Tree, huh? Hold on, just in case. App? The hell? Mission failed. What? Votecast, Game of the Year. Local thumb, play stack. Why can't I just sign in? Wait. This browser may not be secure. I heard Metaphor Fantasio was a really good game. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I heard that was a good game too, though. Tough. Tough stuff. So enough. Recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative technical fields. Man. Next category. Best game direction. Direction? What is even Astrobot, dude? I like Bellatro a lot. I could play Bellatro still. But I hear this was good too. I might have voted for this if I played it. Might have voted for this. Best game direction. Direction? Direction? It's kind of unfair. Why is it just two different things? And why is it so slow? Okay. Best narrative. Best narrative. Best art direction. Art direction. Man, I should probably beat Elden Ring. I gave up on the final boss. For outstanding music. Music, huh? I remember listening to this music. Music I heard so far was pretty damn good. Best audio design? I don't know. What the? Silent Hill? Kind of looks like the guy. Star Wars Outlaws, Life is Strange. Brianna White, Final Fantasy, Rebirth. I don't know who does what though. It's quite the switch up, dude. In accessibility? Accessibility. For a thought-provoking game with pro-social meaning or message. I don't know. Feel like we gotta play Indica. I remember looking at that trailer. Best ongoing? Shit, bruh. Ongoing? That's kind of wild. Man, is it gonna be Fortnite? Fuck. I have to root for it, but if not this one, Final Fantasy. I just never got into it. Best community support? That's probably Final Fantasy. Best independent game? Best mobile game. Oh. AFK Journeys on there? Damn. AR, VR? For the best game in action, primarily focused on combat. Shit, it could be Helldivers too. For the best action adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. Traversal and puzzle solving? Possibly? I don't know. RPG? Dragon's Dogma 2. The hell? Ten more. Jamboree. Sim strategy, unicorn overlord. That looks fun. Ugh. Skip. It's all 2K. They win no matter what. EA, Hanger, 2K. Top spin. Best multiplayer. Whoa, Knuckles? Best adaptation, Knuckles. Whoa. Like a dragon? Whoa. Like a dragon. Tomb Raider. Fallout. Oh, wait, what? I didn't. Arcane, probably. Fallout was really good. The hell? Most anticipated game. Oh. Wait, what? 6. Definitely this one. Content Creator of the Year. What the hell? What the hell is this shit? Content Creator who has made an important and positive impact on the community? How is it only these people? This is the only guy I know. Best esports game. Mobile Legends. Bang Bang. Okay. 27 out of 29. Where's Faker? There it is. There he is. Best esports team. SKT. T1. There it is. Billy. Okay, the last one. Notify me. Sure. Ha. Who's already playing right now? Heed the melodies of the Land of Shadow. The official Elden Ring soundtrack is now available. November 8th. I forgot where I left off. All I know is I didn't beat it yet. The one thing I do hate, being able to see that. I ain't trying to see that, bruh. Oh shit. I just realized my controls. My blink bolt. Hello? The hell's going on with you? What monitor am I on? I'm on DP. Yeah, I'm using a different mouse, which changes everything. I never beat the game. I never beat this last boss. And who knows what I was trying to do. What was I trying to do? What weapon? I don't see my axes. Okay, this is level 9. See, I'm not... So, do I gotta make contact with him and then I strike? It's the very last boss of the DLC. None of my keybinds. You? Oh shit. What's this? That's my heavy attack? Okay, so maybe it's... There it is. What the fuck was that? Okay. Salvaged slightly. So if I do this... Got him. Okay, let's remember that. The promised consort, Radon. How do I lock on? Dash. How do I lock on? Whoa. The hell? Wait. This button? This button? This button? No? Down scroll? No. This button? This button? Lock on? Tab? Control? No. Alt. Shift. Auto lock on. Key bindings. Lock on. Reset camera. P. It's P. 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 Oh, I think I know what's going on. Was it already on? P. Okay. Alt. No shit. P. I changed something. Alt. Alt. What was alt? Fuck. No. One more keys bound to the same function. What was on mouse 5? Mouse 5? Mouse 4? Alt. Movement control was alt. Okay, here's mouse 5. How do I just delete it? Reset assignments R. Strong hand attack. Mouse 5. Oh, shit. I didn't see their face. Mine's staying live for longer. How long? What's going on? Oh, shit. Oh, man. It was actually kind of running better. So what's my heavy attack? Oh boy, oh boy. Movement control. This sucks. Attack. Strong attack. Strong attack. It's not inputting Z. Okay. Guard. Skill. Use item. Shift. Backstep. Should be just shift. Now lock on. X. Now we're Gucci. I believe lock on. Should be. I think. Guard. Dodgeball. I'm live till 3 p.m. Just had to get the other stuff. Just got to get the muscle memory back. See the hardest one? I can't remember if locking on messed me up more than it helped. Damn it. I don't even know how to drink. Did you ever like get into the lore? I wonder. I'll scroll. I don't know how to switch my potions. Switch right hand. Switch left hand. Switch item U. Is this you? That's you. Ugh. So what is this? All right, we're downloading now. What do I feel like I'm dropping Le Frame, Pepe Le Pew. He seems easy. Depending on how your build, yeah. Tolier. You can only summon one? I think you could summon both. I wonder how many people are like fight with two swords too. It's not the build.
pleasure to see you after all this time. But those remains do not belong to you. Lord Moog will have his dignity.
Dude, that's crazy. Nice. Nice. I'm getting confused with my heavy attacks. It's a different mouse I'm using. But these guys are barely feel like they help. This is heavy. So I should make this lock on. To be honest.
General Radon, a pleasure to see you. After all this
Aye, aye, aye.
remains do not belong to you.
What a pain to just have to go through all that again. Lock on, dodge roll. Lock on, dodge roll. General Radon. But he's not General Radon.
General Radon, a pleasure to see you after all this time. But those remains do not belong to you. Lord Moog will have his dignity.
Ah! Damn, his health is not going anywhere except when I do something. No way. That's where I ended. I was gonna beat him with just the bread and butter.
Radon. A pleasure to see you after all this time. But those remains do not belong to you. Lord Moog will have his dignity.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. I'm dead. Because I sprinted. Potion lets me block. So if I block perfectly, I don't take any damage, and I could heavy attack. Bro. I was panic rolling.
After all this time. But those remains do not belong to you.
Might as well not waste any time summoning them right now. Because I gotta go through my original training arc. Timeout. Damn it. Dark again? Pretty much. Pretty much. This isn't a show. This is a stomp. This is a bully. This is why I quit. It was just me getting bullied and exclamation mark lurk. It's a miracle. Double slice. Give me distance. Allow me to sprint away quicker. I parried the fire though. That was nice. Only high MMR would get that. 아이고. That's a projectile forward. I'm getting this idiot fight out the way. I don't care how long it takes. It might be 10 hours. Might be 3,000 hours. takes that long, though. Man, it's not going to be that long. Eagle. I forgot about that. No. Man, this isn't even the hard part. The hard part is that mess of phase 2 that I've experienced like twice. Like, what the hell? You just kind of roll the dice. I forgot about that again. Doesn't look like it sometimes. How many swings does it take? That was gonna get me? Really? You get like a millisecond tops to react. That's another tricky move. That's another tricky one. Brightness. This game's too pretty. Increase the brightness on my monitor real quick. Beautiful. I tried to heal in his face. May need more mana, but I may need more mana, but I may need more mana, but I may need more mana, but. The hell? I already have mana, but I already have mana, but. Trying to see how many times I gotta smack him with an enhanced guard counter slash axe swing open to get him to stagger. And I'm surprised he didn't stagger. Take that. Input reading. I mean, I dodge rolled that. I know the fire comes out, but it didn't go through. Interesting. Just gonna try to be very, very different in my approach. Very disciplined. Typically, I like to explore, but we're coming back from a lot of previous exploring already. And I know double blocking slash guard countering that is possible. Oh my god. I'm just like not quick enough. Like that. How many times? Let me use the bathroom. Work again. Bruh. Wonder if I could sprint through that. This is only 9? Yo, what if I'm double fisting these? That's 9. That's 9. Oh, never mind. Swag. I forgot. Bro, look at the damage. It's pretty much the same. Okay, let's see what I can get away with. Defense-wise. Still light load. Even if I'll rock these. Yup. Yup. Dancer's hood. Where's the big pumpkin head? driving. Where is... Okay, what kind of spell is that? I think I was guarding. I think I know what's happening. I'm not dual wielding my gloves, so I'm not blocking. I'll have to see. There we go. Okay, now I'm dual wielding. Shit. One, a two, ha. Shit. When is there an opening? When is there an opening? Pick Dry Leaf Whirlwind. I could do that because it's a ground attack. Okay. I think. He slams to the ground, brings up the rocks. Then I do dry leaf whirlwind. I'm going to be in the air doing crouching tiger, hidden dragon shit, avoiding the ground hitbox. Get downloaded. Ya done, kid. Not that time. Damn it. Dry leaf whirlwind. Fuck. That for that damage. That's gonna get it. Strength dex. So if I recall correctly, you take no damage. I'll have to try it out. The shield. I think you don't take any damage or something. Why? I gotta do a light attack there? Okay. I think blocking there is possible if you block as soon as you get up, because I've done it before, but I don't know. Like, did I do it? Did I block before? Good, which allowed me to block again. Did I input it? Huge difference. The fuck? No. Did I really hesitate for that long? I was gonna block, but then I opted into rolling, and I guess that was long enough of a hesitation. So much extra shit on the screen. Bro, you idiot. Finally. Tekken 9.
Lord Brother. At long last you are returned. Tarnished one. Aspiring lord of the old order. If you have known sin, if you grieve for this world, then yield the path forward to us. To I, Mikola.
Let me heal real
and
quick.
my promised consort, Radahn.
Oh, hell no. Alright, did I take away anything from that? Not really, no. Just run away from where I normally am and then look for his attack. Got it. Two times? I didn't block that 2 times? I disagree. Nice. Nice. What? Another attack. Another freaking attack. Nice. Greedy, I guess? Sometimes it looks like the attack that's gonna go on the ground. Why did I click that button? Holy shit. Hello? The fuck was that? What? I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. All I gotta do is block, 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 I guess. Block, 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 block. Question mark. I got my buttons mixed up. Yo, he's not staggered there? Hello? The fucking... Bruh! I pressed escape to skip, and then I'm in the menu. I'm pretty sure I could have staggered him. Damn. Fuck. Limit testing. It's down for not long at all. Vroom, 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 vroom. Gonna start with that move. Sooner. Shit. Not again, dude. Really? A little too early. Fun combo. He does that, man. Then what? No! I like this combination we got. But we're out of time. I was on the ground for 10 years. Hello? Must have been a natural one. The ranks come out. Demotion. Promotion. Locomotion. Dude, I was just like bird's eye view looking at my character. All right, that sounded like a good notification. Good alert. Good alert. Well, looks like you can, in fact, demote. Let's see here. 47 plus. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Did I go 24 and 24? No. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 23. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 24, 23. Okay. God bless, Godspeed. Good games. Have a good afternoon, night, or evening. And I'll see you when I see you. You take care now. Be careful. Hey. For you know what. Don't be shy. Whistleblowers are standing by. All right.